Elim, get out, you get a couple points, and then you move on to the end game. And that's kind of actually the same thing that we've been seeing here, right? We saw them key Twek earlier on into this. The same match, we saw them do the exact same thing. So whoever's around them, they're taking a quick opportunity to get 1 or 2 Elims, and then they're just jumping straight into the end game after that.
It's going to be really impressive to see if they can actually trouble that top 3 with these 2 last games remaining. Twek and Midro, they had a fantastic start to the day. Back-to-back victory royales, but also they are currently out of contention. Top 5, they can still do it. 11-2K, do you believe in them?
It's going to be an uphill battle, right? They had one of their better games in comparison to sort of what happened and what came from the back-to-back wins. And I think what we saw from them in that game is that even when they aren't fragging out, right, they can make really good decisions. I like the way they played a lot of this end game, right? They had fewer mats than a lot of their, opponents, but they used them wisely in that they used Medmis to tank the storm. They made sure that they used the extra timing that they got from tanking to be able to, use Slurp to be able to just jump around and like actually dodge people. But again, they end up in that situation where because they have less, they run out quicker, and you need the elimination power to keep you in the game. And so they're gonna need to lock back in to really have a chance to get in that top 3 again.
And that's what worries me about this team is they have 14 Elims total across 6 matches, and 10 of those were in that one match that they did well. So it's not looking so good for like a comeback unless they have another nuclear match.
Well, I've been impressed so far by the consistency of the duos who are currently in the top 5. So let's see if that continues as we head to Game 7.
It's just been so fantastic to see all of these duos. When it comes down to it, they can rely on their solo counterparts to play out these end games, Takada. We have seen so many solo level clutches, and even in that last lobby, Momsy, Sato, one of the big reasons why they are holding down that 4th place position on the leaderboard was because of Momsy just making sure that he did everything to not go down too soon.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they're up against, I say up against, but the Dirty Dogs against another team that's in that top 3 qualifying range as well. Now, they haven't fought yet, but I'm wondering what's going to happen if it comes down to that last match and both are kind of head-to-head in qualifying range. Well, we got Sky and Skrull also in the mix. A lot of exciting moments to come, and we'll see if another kind of, I don't want to call them dark horses, but now Vico Malabuka have a shot to get closer and closer. So let's get to Game 7 and see if they can make it happen.
Today has been a bit of a doozy for Vico and Malabuka.
Okay,
and while we have seen a highlight performance with that 5th place finish and the 11 eliminations to boot, this has still been a very difficult off-spawn predicament. As I drop, Mattias, they know. Vico just trying to find a weapon, it seems like. Malabuka, decent loot. Needs some builds, though. Wants to try and back up his duo immediately, but Vico is currently on the receiving end here. Mattias currently holding him while iDrop tries to get the HP advantage, but no, it's gonna be Mattias who's actually brought down by Malabuka. Malabuka even getting the surprise shots onto iDrop, and what looked like it was gonna be a turnaround. Malabuka just bouncing all over the place. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe that we just witnessed that level of shutdown. Everything
I hate that emote.
was there for iDrop. That is so painful to lose out on. Another early game departure, and with only 1 lobby left to go here at Takada. Game 7. Eliminations just like that.
Yeah, not good.
Gotta be heartbreaking.
Not good luck.
Yeah, I don't know how he won that engagement, but hey, got the job done. We're over at the Steamy Stacks now. Minori, Dark Ghost, they weren't able to get that big game that would have pushed them into top 3. They're now sitting in the 7th place spot, so it doesn't seem too far numbers wise, but I mean, top 3 isn't a significant lead in terms of points, so it's going to be tough for them to make a comeback, but I mean, it's still possible.
This is a new site, though. Potential quad contest about to take place over at Fort Crumpet. You've got Pix and Combat. Pix just set up on one side, more towards the south of Fort Crumpet, just trying to see if he can sneak in. A little wiggle peek here and there. Prism and Casper, just the primary targets for all these teams in the surrounding area. And Pix, he's just looking to break into Prism's cone, but finally Prism gonna be able to separate to the bottom layer, and Casper, Prism, they're actually managing to turn this one around. that initial elimination onto Comeback is going to send them packing. Pix knows he can no longer stick around, but where one team leaves, another one just throws themselves right into the fray. But they think better of it. They realize Chat Flixie, they've also chosen to collapse here, but they know who's been eliminated once already, and they want to see if they can do it again. Comeback just trying to escape. Flixie looking to capitalize on this opportunity, but he's got to wait for Chap now to just get these last couple of blows in. Flixie will get credit for the knock. Soon to be elimination here. Pix nearly took down Flixie along the way, though. He just did not care about closing off his back tarp. Really expected Pix to put up less of a fight there.
I mean, Pix and Comeback, I feel bad. They've been on the run the whole day. It's just a repeat every single match of this engagement at Fort Crumpet. And I mean, finally, those teams in the surrounding areas are starting to really capitalize on it now, but it just makes it that much more difficult for Pix and Comeback. And coming back from this, I mean, it's gonna be really rough.
They're not the only ones, though. Vexy, Snozq, Momsy, Sato, alone, Vico. He needs to reunite with Malabuka, and he's got to do it fast. Just tried to see if he could straggle on over towards Lockdown Lighthouse, but a little bit more than what he bargained for. Is Malabuka still doing what he can? Grenade launcher definitely causing a lot of chaos here towards Sato and Momsy. But Sato and Momsy, they're in a place right now, Takata, where they cannot afford an early elimination departure. They would much rather just drag this one out, make it much less appealing to Malabuka and Vico. If they just clearly indicate, like, hey, we don't have to fight you. We have no intentions of forcing this fight against you. And if you want more eliminations, you're going to have to go somewhere else. But they're just not that healthy. No white heals for Momsy and Sato, so they'll be forced to retreat into the storm itself.
Yeah, very good call from them, especially being just a little over 10 points away from that top 3 qualifying range. Quick, Midro, on the other hand, a little bit further, but hey, a quick beam onto Vico here could be what it takes.
Vico, so unsuspecting. Patience is a virtue right now, though, for Twek and Midro. Might have been Malabuka who was the more appealing target. Wanted to give Vico an opportunity to get a little bit further ahead, or they might just be opting to just stay completely out of vision, completely out of the picture. I mean, when you think about first 2 lobbies, victory royales, you're having crazy levels of success, and the next thing you know, it's like they put a bullseye right on their backs because every single other team in the lobby just seemed very interested in that initial split that Twek and Midro were claiming stakes to. So sometimes it is better to just stay out of the picture.
If you're Sky and Scroll, though, this is exactly how you want to be playing right now. We've seen them do it throughout the whole day. They're not looking for fights early on. They're just setting themselves up for endgame. They don't really care about these early eliminations, and especially now comfortably sitting in first place. All they need to do is maintain it for these final 2 matches of the day.
Ooh, that exotic in the hands of Sharkatini, though, is definitely scary. Chino, Pablo, striking early. Josh will be in elimination. They can claim rights too, but Malabuka now in a little bit of a pickle here. Vexy might have gotten himself stuck in the mix too, though. As Vico likely gonna get the alert soon enough from his idea that he needs to maybe provide a little bit of backup here. Malabuka still content, though. Might not have actually been spotted out in that circumstance. All these other teams just waiting for their opportunities to actually move further into the zone.
And they're definitely going to take them. Pablo Chino going into this game in second place. They've had the rivalry with Sky and Scroll, as now they actually head closer to where they are positioned on the map. Hopefully without anyone seeing them. Minori Darkos, on the other hand, they're in a bit of trouble now, but still one of the top contenders for that qualifying range.
Could be better, could be worse. Ultimately, loadout's not looking awful by any stretch of the imagination. This is definitely a position that they can look to try and give a little bit of pushback to the rest of the lobby on. But the main thing that I've really noticed with teams like, oh, hold that thought though, Chat Flixie, Casper, Prism, Chap and Flixie ready to continue this conversation that they sort of started over by Fort Crumpet. And Flixie, Chap, 4 eliminations already. Some of those largely credit to the fact that they were taking advantage of just barreling down onto Pix and Combeck. Big shot now onto Prism. He'll be forced to try and disengage, but he's got nowhere left to run. Just cut off every single angle. A great collapse there by Flixie and Chap. And they just want to keep things moving. They aren't going to waste any time. They got exactly what they were after. I mean, 5 eliminations is huge. The level ups even for the Morphite Palm Shotgun here. And Happy Lusha, they recognize this is not the place we want to be in right now. We're just going to leave Prism and Casper to deal with those two.
Sato Momsy choosing to kind of stay in the storm here alongside Sky and Skrull. You can see the safety that a lot of these top teams are kind of alluding towards at the moment. They don't really want to put themselves in any risky position, and you can see even with the quick stat that Sky and Skrull are the most efficient fighters in the lobby, and I mean it shows.
And another reason too, I think they've been having so much success is because when you even look at their high ground metrics, they've spent about 5 minutes playing these endgames from height. Oh man, it is just absolute catastrophe here for Casper and Prism. They just cannot catch a break. And this is also a worst case scenario for some of our other leading teams on the leaderboard, because you're just seeing Flixie, Chap, non-stop in this elimination feed. I mean, 7 elims already collected just because of the action that took place inside of Fort Crumpet.
Doesn't even look like they're done yet. Prism's still trying to do what he can to get away. Shark and Teeny could be using a little slurp bait. But these players are more experienced to take a slurp by a fully built metal structure. As now the rotate comes through.
The unstable yoink in Shark's hands, though. I can't stress it enough. I am really excited, but also concerned for the rest of the lobby once they start actually throwing themselves into some of these mid to end game fights, because there's a lot of power up potential there. And for a player like Shark especially, where if he finds one, you know that there's going to usually be 2, 3, possibly even 4 right after the fact. And it can just get so messy depending on how some of these teams choose to respond. But Vico, Malabuka, they've got 6 eliminations. Whether or not they can actually scrape into that top 3, I think mathematically it's a very difficult thing to consider, but the prize pool is still on the line for everyone else. And Malabuka, that was a big connection that he needed to defend his position currently at Slurpee.
Yeah, I mean, not only do you get a qualifying spot, first place is 30K, 20K for second, 14K for third. Big prize pool these players are competing for, but you know, a lot of them just really also want that LAN qual spot. Majo Twek being one of the duos that have a good shot at it. If they can get one more win, complete the hat trick, it could put them into a position to make it happen in the last game.
Their intentions just seem to be set, though, on continuing to make cool, calm, collected decisions that can transition them into a solid endgame finish. Shark, Teeny, edge of zone for the time being, but they have got a stacked loadout between the two of them. We haven't really seen too many instances either of players being able to utilize exotics. Kata, I think that Shark's actually the first one that I've caught a glimpse of here today. Vico, worst possible outcome. Malabuka just barely managed going to rebooting in time, but Vico's just trying to build some space. Malabuka picked off from the sky, doesn't even get a chance to land down. And he knows that unless Vico can create a little bit of space here and play for the revive, he is not going to be brought back into this one. Reboots have been disabled. Darm and Deemish, they know just how weak, they know just how tempting it is too for Vico to just jump across, try and save his duo, but they're just holding fast. They are not going to let him go.
In worst case, he has to solo clutch it and gets good practice as a solo for the tournament he's got with Reese. Best case, he revives Malabuka, but Malabuka has gone down. Flixie Chap now 8 eliminations on the board. They can't afford getting eliminated before the placements come through. They've done so well already, securing themselves these amount of eliminations. Now all that's left is to close it out with a good placement here. Chino, Pablo, though, do not want to let that happen.
Chino and Pablo have definitely stepped it up a notch too. Every single lobby, it just feels like they're scarier than the one before. They have been tearing through a lot of these end game circumstances. And Sky, Scroll, credited with the elimination onto Vico. I'll make sure to drop down, grab the body loot in no time at all. Decent amount of material is going to be sent their way. Chat Flixie still playing towards the opposite end of where Sky and Scroll are currently based up. But Minori, Darkos, done a great job at finding a somewhat isolated spot. It's not easy to do. When everybody's starting to collapse in on each other, the lobby begins to cannibalize itself. Shark, Teeny just trying to stay overhead. We know that they like to go for height, but they have been using a lot of materials, a lot of what they have to offer here. Chino getting lobby focused, and he'll be brought down to the pressure. Pablo just has to sit in horror. He knows there's nothing he can do except play his own life from this point forward.
This is where the chaos unfolds. Pablo is put into panic as he's lost his teammate. 24 builds to work with, as now they're forced to make something happen. Lusha, Mappy, they have the height, but are they even gonna try and hold it this early on? It looks like they won it. They need a huge game if they want to have a chance to compete at the top 3. With only one elimination on the board, they're gonna need a lot more.
Pink and it is. Playing for that secondary height. Pablo all the way down in the dirt, just trying to stay as far back from the backside of zone. But plenty of other players kind of looking to see. They know that there's going to be some scuffed solos in the mix, and Pablo's too exposed here. His last 3 HP, but he converts it. A big elimination now. Worst case scenario for Deemish. Darm, don't know where he's at, but the fact of the matter is, Pablo finding that shot could be the ultimate extension of his run here in this game.
Huge bailout from Pablo. Sky and Scroll still up as a duo, as Pablo's doing everything in his might to clutch it as a solo with only 1 build left. He pops the flow berry, but shots get connected onto him. He finds a little med mist. The Sky goes down as well. Scroll's left with only 20 HP, trying to do what he can. Is he actually going to be able to pick up his teammate? Pablo somehow still up and running.
It's just so tempting when the revives are just so much faster in reload. It's too easy. And Scroll even going to be able to steal away different players' knocked body, but now Scroll's going to find himself getting knocked in the mix. It's all up to Sky. Scroll's been fully eliminated. He still has a medkit to play through, but Pablo, 0 builds yet again. Can he find another miracle shot? And the answer is no. Sadly, he's been shut down here, but Shark, Teeny, they've just been waiting for their opportunity. Sky gonna try to go for the high ground, but he gets shockwave too far back. He's not gonna actually get a chance. His last crash pad gonna send him back into the safety of zone, but there's just so much mayhem unfolding around him. Pink now trying to challenge for the high ground, and Sky just hoping that nobody notices where he's currently based up. He doesn't have much material left. He needs to find a huge conversion here. He needs an elimination.
He might have seen it, though. He's looking for a solo. He does not want to take the 2v1. He wants to get that big refresh. Shark and Teeny, though, incredible job staying ahead as Sky now connects the first one. Can he finish the knockoff? He can, but he goes down shortly after, as now Twek once again up in the clouds.
But this is exactly what Twek and Midra needed. They had so much success to start the day.
Oh, he have a
Tapered off
freaking
ever
lot.
so slightly, but
Nice
now
shot, Wayne.
Twek
Wacko.
spots
Oh,
his
no.
opportunity. He sees Flixie trying to escape. It's not going to allow him to do so. Shark and Teeny. Shark ready to brawl with anybody that comes their way. They're looking to make an absolute run here, controlling low ground. And it's going to be difficult. Twek just trying to see if he can bring himself a little bit closer to the action, still trying to apply as much pressure as he can. If he gets chomped, it's fine. He still has that crash pad, but it's all Teeny and Shark here to try and control the scenes down below. Minori running, trying to see if he can keep one more life, but it's just not going to be enough. Teeny and Shark have no issues whatsoever. They are just picking off these solos like flies in the low ground.
Doing everything in their power to hold on to that top 3. They want to take over the crown in first place, and they have everything to do it. As the shots connect, Twek fully crapped down below as Teeny is going to be able to retake the high ground. Twek goes down, Wavy as well, Shark and Teeny looking absolutely lethal as they overthrow height and drop down for even extra eliminations. Josh now doing what he can to stay up. He's got some shields, but no heals to close this one out. A 2v1. Josh needs to make a power play to win this.
Josh nearly finds Teeny, but unfortunately now that's going to key in Shark to where this last player is at. And Josh, he's trying to see if he can just keep it rolling one more time. Maybe a little bit of a slip up here and there. All depends. Shark now being a little bit more cautious with how he chooses to proceed. Only one build remains, but it's just too much pressure to handle. Shark and Teeny finding their victory royale here in Game 7. We were all curious if they were actually going to be able to find one in this sequence of lobbies here today, Takada, but they've done it.
They've finally done it. They tried time and time again to secure high ground, and they have completed it. So let's head over the desk and see how it shakes things up.
One more team.
Thank you so much, guys. This duo was already in contention for a spot at the championships, but now they've pretty much cemented it with a victory royale. It was very high earned. And again, it's just a masterclass from this duo. The chemistry is clearly there. Shark knows he's the attack dog for this duo, and Teeny is the guarantee, Reese.
Absolutely, and you know, a lot of that was basically allowed because all of our other top teams were playing as solos for the most of the game. Like, this is one of the one matches for the end game where I'm watching Shark and Teeny, and they've been together for the entire time. Like, their end games have honestly been very messy up until this point. So to see them stick together and have such good synergy this late into the tournament is really nice.
Yeah, I think the big thing with these guys is when both of them come knocking at your door, like, it's just so hard to really answer. And Shark's been playing amazingly today. We, were talking a bunch about how he has been, such a key player for this duo in this year. But like you said, Reese, together they are much stronger. And, it was coming. Taco mentioned, like, we were all asking the question of when's it going to come? It was going to come, right? They kept having these games where they were marauding around the mid ground and causing people problems. Eventually, you give yourself a fighting chance and they get the win here.
Yeah, and I think like their playstyle is just so aggressive, right? Like when you have someone like Shark who is so mechanical, you want to use him, You don't want to put him in a surge tower in FNCS or something like that's just cruel. You want to let him off the leash and go crazy. But at the end of the day, like that is still a risky play. So that's why we've seen so many solo clutches from them up to this point. So now that it's actually worked, it's looking really good.
Well, speaking of solo clutches, Reese, there were a lot of solos in that endgame. We'll talk more about those after this break. we just had a fascinating Game 7 because so many of our big duos ended up as solos, and it was particularly interesting to see that happen to Pablo and Chino, Reese, because actually their mid-game was looking really impressive.
Yeah, it's very interesting. They're doing a strategy that we've seen a lot of teams do so far, which is stay deep into the storm, hit a launch pad, and then land in the 5th zone, as you can see right here. Right? The Fizz super launch pad takes you basically the entire distance across the map, as I already mentioned, it is small. So they actually choose a relatively good spot here. The problem with this strategy, as you noticed, as they were doing that, they had 150 builds each, capped materials. But once they land and they get into a spot like that, they're landing late, and everyone starts to end up looking at them much later on. So they actually ended up draining between the 5th and the 6th zone around 100 builds each. So you can see they skip to the 8th here, almost nothing left to their name at this point, which makes Chino go down. Now, what's interesting about this Chino going down here is they're top 15. Now, Pablo solo clutches, I think, for another 2, maybe even 3 zones by himself. He's 3 HP at this point, gets the elimination, right? He does all of this work. He goes crazy. Top 3 solo clutch we've seen so far, but he gets 0 placement points out of this. It was 2 zones, that's what it is, because placement points start kicking in once you're in the top 12. So basically 2-3 minutes by himself, and I ended up getting nothing out of it.
And if you,
I was really worried for a second. You were hyping it up there. The clutch. I was about to say, Reese, he didn't even get any placement points out of that. But
No, it's just brutal.
He circled around. So yeah. Like it is a cruel game we have here.
But then when you look at Sky and Scroll, Sky was also left as a solo clutcher, but he was actually able to pick up some all-important points for his team, Reese.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting is he almost was not the solo clutcher, because Scroll was the solo clutcher at one point. He got this elimination here, this refresh got enough to cap materials, and then Scroll ended up going down, and he got the revive onto him, and then he picked him up. So it's like they swapped roles in the way that they were solo clutching afterwards. The big difference between the way Sky and Scroll played that and then Chino and Pablo ended up doing it was the fact that he ended up solo clutching up to a top 9. So you have 2 solo clutches, one got nothing out of it, and the other managed to make it deep into the end game, which is drastic different points now for the leaderboard.
Let's talk about then Sky and Scroll and Teeny and Shark, because finally we got to see Teeny and Shark actually pull off the victory royale. The promise was there the whole of the broadcast so far, but when we compare those to Sky and Scroll, who do you think has got the edge right now? Who's going to be qualifying in that #1 spot, Levin?
Oh, it's a tough one. I think both of these teams have been, very consistent. I think maybe you'd have to give the edge to Teeny and Shark, right? As far as just what they've been able to make out of their games, even when things have been messy, right? Just those fine margins, keeping them kicking in the game. I think right now these guys are in a flow state.
Yeah, it's interesting because you look at the stats and they're very similar between the two teams, yet the gameplay seems so different. You got Shark and Teeny, who seems kind of messy, whereas Sky and Scroll seem just so locked in. So going into the final game, I'm interested to see who can take it out into first place.
Well, let's talk about Flixie and Chap, please, because yes, they didn't have the best end game, but they had a fantastic start at Fort Crumpet. They basically farmed 7 eliminations, 11, which is really what they need to do to get those all-important placement points out, elimination points to get up the leaderboard.
Yeah, this is the type of thing, I think we were expecting to see them do, right? Be a menace to all the teams in that Fort Crumpet area. And I think the big thing for these guys now is, again, going into this last game, it has to be a big one, right? It has to almost be a replica of a lot of what we saw from them in this game. Flixie, I know he desperately wants to make it to the LAN and be one of the players there. And so if he can pull out another sort of clutch like this, where again, he's just getting those extra bit of placement points that can be the difference maker. They are so close, right? They're just on the outside. They need a really strong game though if they're gonna stop or overtake Chino and Pablo.
Absolutely, and they've been a thorn in the side of Casper's team. As you mentioned, they're keying there into Fort Crumpet, and that was their most successful attempt at that. But it's not that that's the first time they've done it. So in Game 8, if they've had such success on that in the previous match, you've got to think they're going to do that exact same strategy, assuming that the zone allows it to here. But they currently are looking at the leaderboards. They're only like 24 points behind, there, before they actually get into a qualification slot. There you go, you can see it on screen right now. So it's very, very close between any of the teams who actually want to get into that very, very important top 3.
Yeah, I can see.
We do have 3 more qualifier finals after this, and it's really interesting to see Twek and Midro making such an early impression. And I wonder if after they had some time to go away, if they don't qualify tonight, if we're going to be seeing them at the top of the leaderboard next time round, Levin.
I mean, I'd like to think so. I feel like a lot of the way they have played has just shown great understanding of just fundamentals and how to play the game effectively. It was really cool to see Twek here,
I am
even as a
sad
solo, right?
with
Trying to
my-
impose himself in the
to
lobby. How often
my
do we see,
pick.
you know, newer players or players who maybe don't have that type of experience, when
What
they have
my
the solo
little
clutch,
button,
they are
right?
just trying to hide and like play things as safely as possible. He was actually trying to go, actually no, like, I might be a solo, but I have some materials. Like, let me play around with it, right? These guys are young and incredibly confident.
Yeah, I really want to see them in this last game go crazy, because they've kind of been like the story that we've been talking about through the entire game. They've been there in the vast majority of the games doing something. So in this final match, like, I want to see a pop off from them, put them into the top 3. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's nice to see some fresh blood in the lobby. It will be really interesting to see if they can make it to the LAN in August, whether it's tonight or at one of our next qualifiers. But this is it, guys. It's game 8, the last game before we find out who has booked the first 3 tickets to those championships. Let's head into our final game with Taco and Takata.
Yep.
Thank you, Frankie. Look, Taco, I'm getting nervous. We've got some solidified duos in the top 3, but we have a lot of players right on that cutoff, on the borderline, like Reese was mentioning. Twek and Midori. They're a duo that doesn't have a single FNCS finals appearance, and now they are 1 game away to having a shot at qualifying themselves to a championship LAN with $1 million prize pool. Do they have what it takes, Taco?
I mean, there's a couple of teams in similar positions, right? You've got Minori and Darkos, you've got Midro and Twek, like you were just referencing, and I love the fact that we are witnessing this surge of just up-and-comers teams that so many people were kind of just ruling out, proving that they've got what it takes to compete here today. And when you look at this top 10 and just knowing how tightly meshed even that top 3 is going to fall upon, but we've got 1 lobby left to do it and find out who's going to come out on top.
I'm literally getting shivers as we speak from how close this leaderboard is. Momsy Sato, Twek Mitro, Chap Flixie, Minori Darkos, these are all duos right on the cusp of qualifying. And in the meantime, we've had this battle from the beginning. Malabuka Vico up against iDrop and Marius, and in these recent matches, it has not been going iDrop's way at all, as Malabuka once again picks up an elimination, leaving Marius alone.
But the problem is they can't find Marius immediately. Vico gonna be the first one to drop, but Vico loses all of his HP. He'll be forced to scatter now. Malabuka, not necessarily the healthiest either, but Marius, having lost all of his shield, Vico instead pop from a different direction entirely. Malabuka brought down by Comeback. Comeback and Pix. This might be their best opportunity for the third-party scenes.
I think I'm a
But
2-team
Marius
die
and
or I
iDrop
lose
may
my
be
mind.
counting their lucky stars that there was an intervention here in the final lobby. iDrop and Marius will be left standing. Comeback, Pix trying to keep the pressure rolling, but instead it's going to be Pix eliminated. Comeback left to try and retreat. Flixie and Chap waste absolutely 0 time, though. This is the last thing you want to see. Nightmare scenario, but Chap is taken out. Marius with the better timing to beat. And Marius, iDrop, just like that, have completely turned Slurpee Swamp on its head. This was not the way that Flixie and Chap envisioned that third-party circumstance to go, but Flixie is on a full-on retreat, taking shots from so many other teams along the way. Kieran Rydex, they know he's low, they know he's weak, and they know he's a free elimination. Flixie did buy just enough time, though, for Chap, but they are going to be so... It's going to be an uphill battle, Takata, because they have nothing to work with.
I mean, it really is. That's a devastating start here. It's possible to come back from, but it's the difficulty level of this match just went to an all-time high. Sharktini, though, you cannot afford to go down here. Leading the pack into this final match. They've already got 1 elimination. Shark got dropped down incredibly low. You can see how long this fight has been taking from all the builds, but the confidence is still there. Shockwave coming through as Teeny takes some shots back and forth. Let's see what actually happened beforehand.
Snosky just trying to get aggressive here, Matthew Lucia as well, but Shark holds his own, and this is almost what we would have expected in a final lobby. I mean, game 8, there are teams who are just doing everything to try and find those last few points. And then there are other teams who know, hey, I'm pretty much out of it for top 3 contention, but what can I do in terms of securing prize pool in general? And that's why we're seeing so many of these shakeups, so many of these teams just looking to get all that much more aggressive. For Haris and Dimish, these teams have clearly been duking it out. 3 eliminations already for Darm and Dimish, but given the fact that it's Dimish rebooting, you know that things have been very scrappy.
Yeah, quite shaky for a lot of the teams here, but shot after shot, laser beaming Haris into the ground. Pixovsky now as well, looking to see what he can do against Marius and iDrop, but they're trying to let the rest of the lobby know what they went through in this past 3 matches. Now their aggression is at an all-time high. Shots being connected by iDrop. Just one more needed, but he cannot connect on Pixovsky, as now he's forced to use a shockwave to get the last shot here.
He's not gonna let it go though. Pixovsky is not safe just yet. iDrop still looking to force this elimination. Loses all of his shield. Pixovsky nearly managing to turn that one around, but it's just not enough gas left in the tank here. This will be rebooted. Marius in a completely separate fight. They are splitting up and just hunting down player after player, elimination after elimination. 6 already for Marius and iDrop. And when you think about how this match actually started off for these two, it is incredible scenes that they've already managed to convert this many elimination points.
Can't hide from Marius, it seems. But as he was a hunter, now turned into prey. As Raytex Kira are doing what they can to finish Marius here. He's left with just a sliver of HP, doing what he can to stay up.
There are just players that are constantly scouring the skies, trying to see who's rebooting now, who can we take out next. Marius doesn't have any white yield, so he'll eventually just lose out, even though it's such an early tick zone. It doesn't matter when you're being chased for that long. But that's just going to be the bad signal now for Dimish and Darm. They immediately fly on over. They want to see if there's anything they can clean up after the fact. Chino, Pablo, 2 eliminations. Contemplating the mythic goldfish, but they'll
We've seen some clips. We know what it's capable of.
This
maybe not in the last game.
Farm.
Maybe not the last game of the finals. Not what you want to clip farm today, especially being the literal cutoff to qualifying at 265 points, 3rd place going into this game.
But Darm and Dimish, they're another one of our teams inside of that top 10 threshold. This is why we're seeing them get so aggressive here against Redix and Kiro. They need these points. Every single elimination, just crucial for trying to climb their way up that leaderboard. Darm, Dimish look like to be in a better position here in comparison to Redix and Kyoto, but at the same time, Takata, still one more Medmis grenade, still a crash pad to potentially disengage with. They just refuse to budge, and iDrop is going to take full advantage of it. Dimish caught off guard. The flank maneuver has proven to be the ultimate counter here for the Bulls. Darm now trying to punish iDrop on his way out, maybe looking to follow suit, but iDrop, guess where he's crash padded directly towards? It's Chap and Felixi with Darm right behind him. Chap gonna find the elimination onto Darm though, just punishing that over-aggression. And Dimish realizing, I have got to get out of here.
Not a great start for Flixie and Chap, but now they've had a shot at redemption. Can they capitalize on it? Marius takes a big pump, but Chap is still up and running. He has shields, but is the time gonna be worth it to take them as his teammate is battling it out? Marius dropped below, but still forced to heal up.
This is still very bad though for Marius and iDrop. They need a chance to reconvene. Marius may have just done enough. Flixie, Chap, Marius, iDrop, they're all just so incredibly low. Practically no builds either, only a handful between both of these teams. Still hanging out inside of these storm battles. Shark, a little bit of a lurk out. Shark and Teeny, they're gonna have to disengage. Got Memphis grenades, so they're not in huge problems just yet over by Dirty Docks. It's more about trying to clear out what's closest to them to give them a little bit more playroom for where they want to rotate and position themselves later on.
Sky and Scroll, the amount of time we've seen them in a bush, they
And start
like
my
playing
play.
it. And
Both
hey,
people.
I got nothing to say because it's
Love
clearly
it.
paying off. Second place, 296 points. Their only job right now is to maintain their spot on the leaderboard and potentially overthrow Sharkantini to take that first place spot. Anything to not drop out of that top 3. They're doing it right so far.
I mean, when you think about what's happening inside of this elimination feed, you know Sky and Scroll are seeing every last bit of it too. With so many top teams just constantly having to reboot. Sometimes it's best to just go unnoticed. You want to play a little bit more towards that incognito terrain because you just don't want to give the opportunity. An early departure here could mean another team taking over Sky and Scroll's position on the leaderboard.
Yeah, Sato Momsy are that 4th place duo right outside of qualifying range. So, you know, the pressure is weighing down on their shoulders. But with those 3 eliminations they've picked up early on, they're in a great spot to make something happen.
And for players in this position too, it's, you know what's on the line. You know that a land spot is potentially right in your grasp. You don't want to let it slip through your fingers, but you also don't want to let that impact how you choose to play this final lobby. You almost have to treat it like every other game before. Obviously still keep your wits about you, but then you've also got to deal with teams like Medius and iDrop who they're trying to overcome some point gaps, and they know that they've got to be so incredibly aggressive. It can really play spoiler to some of these teams that are looking to have a little bit more of a calm early to mid game, set themselves up nicely for the end game, because you've just got iDrop and Marius just constantly crashing into teams looking for whatever they can get.
I mean, you had 10 eliminations already. They've reached double digits. We're just getting started here. Placement's not even close to kicking in. As now in this 6th zone, we've talked about it. Once it closes and 7th appears, there's no more reboots left. As Mydro and Twek fight for their shot at the championship LAN.
Solid loadouts though. Drone gun, Sentinel,
Oh,
few
no.
shockwaves, couple Medmis grenades. Sky seems like that, you know, go unnoticed, continue to live a little bit longer mentality just has not boded well for them. But Scroll having to be rebooted here. If he keeps getting shot out of the sky too, that would be an even bigger issue, but he will manage to touch down. Great awareness there from Sky to just base out far enough to allow his duo an opening. But it's still just going to make things so problematic. He's still got to find a refresh at some point. They're going to be forced to fight now. They can no longer just sit idly by. Snosky and Vexy, though, unfortunately ran into Chap and Flixie.
Hey, what a comeback from Chap and Flixie, though. They had an incredibly rough beginning to this match, but they're looking quite well now. Ahead of zone. Good amount of eliminations. They could have more mats and utility, but hey, it could be significantly worse.
The builds are what I'm really keeping an eye out for, because we've seen just how rapidly those have been depleted in the past. And Flixie, oh no, he's been knocked, he's been eliminated. Chap, he's not gonna get the chance. He's only got 4 HP. Medmis grenade gonna be forcibly dropped. But Chap, he's just so incredibly weak here, and he's still trying to fight his way out of this one. The Medmis grenade obscuring a little bit of the vision, I think, for both ends of the spectrum here. But teams know he is weak. He is a solo minority Darkos. They want to see if they can claim their own stake on these extra eliminations, but there is no reboot for Flixie. Chap is going to have to lock in for the solo clutch, and it's going to have to be an incredible performance
What they fitted
to
the
put them
dominant.
into contention here, Takata.
You were worried about their mats before. Now you gotta be in pure panic with what, 15 builds maybe? No more teammate. In the blink of an eye, the tables turn. Darkos, Minori. This is one of the other duos that also have yet to secure an FNCS Finals appearance, and now we're also incredibly close to reaching that qualifying range as they have a shot at it with this final match of the day. The moving zones continue. Podesai gets knocked down. Sky and Scroll, though, They're incredibly low on mats, having to split between each other after that elimination came through, but at least both of them are both standing now.
Problem is having to play for an elimination setup when it seems like the majority of the lobby is already looking to be just overly aggressive. They have to be so precise with every single shot to come. Pablo, Gino, making their own way forward. Chap, gonna have to eat a handful of shots here as he's looking to stray on in. It's gonna be very tough trying to play from the backside of zone, especially with players like Darm Beamish right behind you. Midro gonna manage to shockwave forward, but it looked like he might have been all by himself here. Chap recycling another player's crash pad, but can he hang tight long enough? These wood builds down to his final 4 even. It is horrific scenes right now for Chap. He's got the Morphi pump aimed and ready though. One shot is all it takes sometimes, Takada. He could come up massive here.
Look at the remaining players though. Reese Levin, they were breaking down how important it is to make use of the solo clutch and not only get elims, but get to that top 12 where the placement points start racking up, and they're just one team away from getting to that placement point range. Shark and Teeny though doing what they can to stay healthy, and they're looking great currently as Haris has gone down. Still 13 duos up as Sky and Scroll get ahead.
Sky and Scroll though, recognizing there's already a team playing through height. Darm and Deemish have actually managed to finagle their way up towards an elevated position. Some teams definitely in tatters underneath them. Pablo still working his way through. We just saw Pablo and Gino, and now they've lost literally all of their builds along these last couple of rotates. Just so exposed, trying to make their way forward towards the front sides, and teams just constantly dropping like flies around them. A lot of solo players now looking to take over here. Medius and iDrop though, they also don't have a whole lot of materials to work with, but they do have a ton of eliminations here. It's only a matter of time though. They're about to run smack dab center into where Sky and Scroll are currently situated. Not only that, but Shark and Teeny from behind, they're tanking up with the Memphis grenade from behind. They're about to surprise the entire lobby from the backside of zone here. Pablo knows he's just gotta hit it into overdrive, try and stay ahead. Darm Deemish also posing a huge threat, but now Shark, Teeny, they're ready to go for height. Darm Deemish forced to drop out, and now Shark and Teeny, they have a commanding control over the high ground.
They're able to hold on to it now, but Pablo, he got a second chance. He wasn't able to get placements in the last solo clutch, but he might have just gotten enough to secure a spot in the top 3 as Shark gets dropped down. It's all on them now, holding height with only 3 builds left. Is anybody gonna try and take it from them?
Scroll does manage to pick up a little bit of body loot, but he's having to commit towards his ultimate low, just trying to stay ahead. Maybe he can turn back. Maybe he can find another elimination. Any sort of refresh. The materials just mean so much to him at this point, but instead he loses all of his shield. Does still have some small potions to work with, but it is a doomsday situation right now in the low ground. Shark and Teeny, they are just finding even more eliminations, even more pressure to these teams, and Scroll just can't hold on. Josh and Wavy will take over, but Lucia, Mappy, they're still looking to see if they can maybe find a conversion here for a victory royale in the final moments. Shark and Teeny, though, doing a great job at just micromanaging these high ground points.
They were first place going into this match. They were able to secure their victory royale, and the last one is now they're looking to get the back-to-back VR, showing their dominance, holding on to that crown as Lusha goes down, leaving Mappy alone. Shark continuing to apply pressure from above as Mappy now must be running low on mats. All the ammunition in the world is all they need to take these shots, as Josh now is doing what he can to stay up, but the pressure, it looks like it's going to be too much.
Teeny and Shark know that they basically got this one in the bag. They just got to play through the way that they always do. And sure enough, Teeny with the final shot. Another victory royale back to back for Teeny and Shark. We knew that they were basically a lock for that LAN championship, Takada, but this is just a victory lap for them at this point.
Look, they did a great job. What I got in my mind is Pablo. He got a second chance at the solo clutch in 3rd place. Did he do enough to hold on to the qualification spot? Only 3 people can answer that. So Frankie, Levin, and Reese, take it away.
You know what? I wish that I had that power and foresight, Taco and Takata, but unfortunately, your guess is as good as mine. We're going to have to wait for our officials to confirm who has booked their spot in the championships. However, we can safely say that Shark and Teeny are going to be there after that epic victory royale, Levin.
And I'm very excited. An opportunity to see the young star on a LAN setting, an opportunity for him to really show the world that he is as great as everybody on TikTok at least seems to think he is. No, but in all seriousness, they really deserve to be there. The way they've performed today, Reese, has been top class.
Absolutely, and you know, we've been giving Shark his credit for absolutely fragging out throughout the majority of the day, but in this final match, Shark ended up with 0 elims and TD with 6, so it's not a one-man band by any means. I love how he just showed up when it actually mattered.
I mean, I think one of the really, you know, interesting sort of angles is ultimately, right, you know, it's a new era, right, when it comes to reload competition, but this is like the equivalent of FNCS for reload. So you know, it's a great opportunity for them to sort of get the year rolling as far as momentum as in top competitive settings.
The FRES. It's definitely going to stick. We're definitely going to be calling that as we head forward into the year. But right now, I've got something much more important to show you guys, which is the standings. We'll find out our top 3 who have obviously got the lion's share of the prize pool and are going to the championships. And there's been no movement going into game 8. These were the top 3 we had, and they managed to remain consistent. Pablo must be breathing a sigh of relief right now, Reese.
Absolutely, you know, again, solo clutching into the final match to keep himself up. Very impressive placement for him. And, you know, let's be real, these are the top 3 teams that we've been talking about for the most of the day, right? They've been the teams who've been there in almost every single end game. I wouldn't be very happy if one of them dropped out right at that final moment.
Yeah,
but it was a close run.
Unjust.
Talk about Sky and Scroll as well. They were the favorites alongside maybe Vico Malabuka going into this one. The consistency won the day. Obviously, some very satisfying victory royales for these guys, and I think they're going to be contenders when we head to LAN.
Absolutely. I mean, at the start of the day, when you asked me who do I think is a shoe-in to qualify, they were the name we gave you, right? And it wasn't some, you know, crazy prediction. It wasn't some crazy foresight, Reese. It's the reality of their level of Fortnite over the past couple of months. These guys have just been the best duo, or one of the best duos at every given opportunity.
Yeah, I think it just shows, as players, the versatility that these two have. It's unbelievable. You give them any game mode, give them solos, duos, trios, reload, any team, it doesn't matter. And they're going to be a team who's up at the top of the leaderboard. They're undoubtedly a tier 1 players in this region.
Oh, this is something I wanted to talk to you about. We will talk about Pablo in a moment. I do want to talk about Sky and Scroll just a bit longer because of the fact that last year it wasn't their most satisfying, should we say, results-wise. And now we're seeing that Scroll has won the solos tournament at the start of this year. Now teaming up again with Sky, they've managed to conquer, at least come second in this first qualifying final, Reese. What's the secret sauce? What's changed for these guys to suddenly find them so much success?
So I want to actually check. I'll check after this, unfortunately. But Scroll, if you don't know, has some of the worst binds ever. He scrolls through all of his binds on his keyboard mouse. I'm wondering, is it the, you know, don't make it to global championships, so you say I've got this hunger in my belly, I want to grind, I want to practice for everything, or has he just changed off of like the worst binds ever? It's one of the two.
I think he did change his binds. I don't know if he stuck with it. I know he did change off his binds some months ago. Yeah, I think a couple months back he switched off. I think these guys were just like one of those typical teams you've seen in Fortnite history where it's like just fancy duos a bit more than trios, right? You know, we know they had their struggles when it came to finding the right fit for a third last year in trios. But when it comes to their duo synergy, I don't think we've ever really questioned that. And it's great to see them being able to showcase that a lot more this year.
Yeah, Reese, how long until we see the YouTube video come out about that one?
I mean, I think I might already have one about that, to be honest. I will be honest with you. I think I've already got it.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, I'm the worst fan of Reese ever, but I'm gonna work on it. After tonight's performance on the desk, Reese, I'm definitely gonna be your #1 stan. I'm gonna be in all the comments. Let's talk about Sky then. So Scrolls had the worst keybinds, but potentially not the worst keybinds anymore. What about Sky, Levin? Are you impressed with his individual performance tonight?
I mean, how can you not be? I mean, this guy has been putting on a show for us, obviously, this evening, but as an individual as well, he was probably always the one that, like, you know, was most impressive at times when these two played together in the past. Scroll doing his best job to sort of make that a conversation as well. But Sky, again, is a fantastic player. And, you know, these guys have been around for quite some time, even though they are still so young, right? Like, as soon as they were eligible to play at 13, they were popping up in, like, top competitions. And so both still incredibly young, but thriving, shining, reaching their prime years in the Fortnite comp.
Well, we are so excited to have Sky standing by for an interview, because this, I have to say, Sky, was such a fantastic performance from yourself and Scroll. How did you manage to maintain your calm under such pressure?
I mean, we just talked together, told each other to calm down, and I mean, yeah, we just played our game.
It's interesting, Sky. You guys really have some of the best synergy when it comes to, it always feels like you guys are on the same page. What about Scroll makes your life easier, right? What about the way he plays the game allows you to succeed?
I mean, the fact we've played together for years now, and I mean, we kind of just know what we think, so it's so easy to just play on each other and get the refreshes we need.
Grand. How do you like approach a game mode like Reload in comparison to, say, Battle Royale? You know, there wasn't a way to practice into Scrim before this, so like, how do you actually understand what the meta is coming into like a game mode like this?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard compared to Battle Royale, but we just put a lot of time to like into VOD reviewing the whole thing and VOD reviewing other players, see what they do, and then try and like implement stuff into our own gameplay.
Now you've qualified for the championship finals, Sky. What's the focus going to be? Is it going to be conquering the other qualifiers and playing for that prize money? Or are you going to be starting to think about FNCS?
I mean, of course, there's still going to be focus on like the qualifiers, but the main focus is 100% going to be on FNCS.
Oh, I can't wait to see what you guys can achieve across the entire year, Sky. Congratulations. And also, before I let you go, where can we find you online?
On Twitter, my name is Sky Season, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's Sky Season. And then I have a YouTube that I'm starting to upload on. That's Sky Season as well.
Amazing. We'll have to go and subscribe to that one. Thank you so much. Please do pass on our best to Scroll as well.
Of course.
Tech. Fantastic. Not only have we got our first 3 duos qualified for the championships, I know the MENA region was playing as well, so you'll be able to find out those results for yourself online as well. But also, I feel like we've got a really exciting year ahead of us, guys. Levin, are you anticipating much action, though, from the NAC lobby later tonight? It's coming up in 2 hours.
Of course. It never disappoints. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who can challenge uncontested Slurpy Swamp for Peter Bottom Poyo. Come on, someone's got to do something about that.
Look, as an avid NA hater, even I'm a little bit excited to see how Pete does, right? He's looking on top form with Poyo right now, so even I'm going to be checking it.
Who is a stronger duo, though, Levin? Is it Peter Bottom Poyo or is it Reese and Vico?
Come on, man. Let's not joke around here, man. I know we like to laugh and giggle on the show, but let's get serious, man. Come on, come on.
Well, listen, for everyone loving the Fortnite tonight in 2 hours, as I've already mentioned,
Yeah,
we've got
but
Zeke
Peter
and the
Butt
gang commentating
win NA.
and bringing you
No way.
that North American action.
If no one land
But
on him, we'll
until
win.
then, if you want to kind of keep yourself in the Fortnite game, then you could hear Levin commentating the Reddish Rumble, and you could watch Reese being carried by Vico. The choice is yours. All we know is we'll see you in a couple of hours' time on this channel. Boys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to Taco and to Carter. We'll see you in a few weeks' time on this channel for more European